winners. I mean, there's more than 3 letter winners back, but thinking about guys that contributed to your team last year, we're looking at 3 guys that are back.
Yeah, no, it's a lot like year one in terms of that, where you're just, as the days go, you're figuring out more and more about them individually. You're figuring out more and more about, what you're going to look like and what you're going to do as a team. And so that's kind of the fun part, where you can't really have a set game plan because you just don't know yet until you've been around them enough and figure out, strengths and weaknesses of each guy. And so that's just the process we'll go through this summer.
Ben, when you look at this team, you got 3 returners. How key was getting those guys back, and then, how do you sell them when they wanted to come back? There was really no team around them, but you built the pieces in place.
Yeah, I think, for those guys, they obviously saw what we did last year and knew that, we're on the right trajectory. They obviously knew that we're going to find a way, one way or the other, in the portal to find teammates around them. And they have a strong belief in themselves and what we do here. So that part I really wasn't concerned. Just appreciative that those guys stuck with it when, everybody now has options, and Dawson has some major options, and I hope people understand that. But he came back for all the right reasons, and then it's our job to build a quality team around him and give him and ourselves the best opportunity to have success this year. But, I like kind of the early stages of where we're at.
Can Dawson be Big Ten Player of the Year? I mean, is that his ceiling? I mean, when you're all Big Ten, to me the next step is he's the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Yeah, I talk a lot about, I want guys to be greedy, and I do think that's the next step. I think he's in a good spot because there's no secrets with what we do here and in his role. And so now he can just have supreme confidence in that, supreme confidence in understanding the league and knowing his abilities and to take it to that next level. The kid wants to win, and I think that's the other good piece is that's how he's driven. I mean, he wants to put back-to-back seasons where we've had success in league and outside of league, and his mind frame hasn't changed. And so I think he's accepting of all those type of challenges.
Ben, it seems like the game is constantly evolving, the rosters. How are you evolving as a head coach, and how challenging is it on you right now?
Yeah, I think, you try to get better every year, obviously X and O's wise as a coach, but, you're also figuring out you got to adapt. You got to find, ways to make it work. And whether that's finding guys that make it work in the portal and getting good enough players, or the ones that you want, that you do get, finding ways to make it work on the court and get that cohesion and get it early. Understand that it's a process, thankfully, my first couple years, we've been through this, so it's not terribly new. I kind of know the timetable. There's a reason why we went with a lot of older guys, because if you're going to have a turnaround, you either better have unlimited NIL where you can get whoever, or you've got to, have a strategy behind it. And I look a lot about year one where we just had experience, and I think it goes without saying you got to have the talent, but experience also wins. And we were able to find that in the portal, and just again, being able to adapt to any type of situation and kind of changes day to day, week to week, month to month.
With how the portal is right now, would you say this roster is set, or could it change before the season starts?
I think we have the ability to maybe add one more, but that will depend on, it's just got to make sense. And I think we're always looking to add pieces to recruit. We're looking to add pieces that can make us better. It's just got to make sense, got to be the right piece, but, forever looking.
What do you like most about the group of transfers that you brought in?
I just like the fact that they have experience. They've been around the block. So although the way we do things might be different, at the end of the day, they understand, what goes into winning. Your defense philosophy might be different, but they understand help side defense. They understand rotations. They understand physicality in a ball screen. They understand ball movement. They understand, what's the right unselfish play to make offensively. So you're not reteaching all of that. You're just more teaching like the details of your system, which is good. I like the fact that they all, have pretty good feel, pretty good IQ, and they all want to win. I mean, that's probably the underlying factor that when we recruited these guys, they all talked about, taking the next step individually and then as a team. And so you want to have a locker room full of guys that expect to win and want to win.
Ben, do you just kind of shake your head at some of the conversations you have to have at the end of the season, knowing that a lot of the talk after last year was you could build something special here with the group you had if they stayed, and obviously I think half of it left. I mean, is that just kind of the way the landscape is right now?
It is, and I think, as a coach, being in this every day, like, you don't have too many surprises. So you kind of get a feeling as the year goes on what could potentially happen. So you're prepared for it, and again, it's kind of that next man up mentality. It's almost like if a guy goes down with injury, you hope you have enough depth where it's the next guy up. These things are going to happen, so now it's just about, all right, where's our depth chart at? Who's going to be the next guy that we can get to fill in? And then who are the other pieces that we're going to surround them with? And it is what it is. Like, you don't get bent out of shape about it. Some of these guys had some significant financial opportunities, and, I can't necessarily fault them for, pursuing something like that they were able to potentially get. And so it's our job is just, you got to, again, adapt, figure it out, and then try to find the next best piece. And we'll just continue to do that and continue to build and continue to develop the guys that we have.
When you talk about financials and players going on to better situations, what's something you wish players learned or knew more about the financials in this process that maybe they aren't aware of?
I think it's a long answered question because I put obviously a lot of time into this. I do. I like the fact that guys can financially have some freedom, and I'm never gonna hold somebody back from a financial decision. Like, it's not what I'm about, not what I'm gonna do. But I also want them to know, I don't want it always to be a money grab for guys. Not that it is. I'm not saying that, but in recruiting we talk about it. When guys are here, I talk to them about it. That life can't always be about a money grab, because then you're never going to be satisfied. You know what I mean? You're always going to be wanting more, and your cup's never going to feel full. And even when you have success, it's not going to feel like success because money's on your mind and you're driven by that. And I talk about just these guys are young, and I want them to be happy in life and to do things for the right reason. And part of me does worry, if your best lives financially are at 19, 20, 21, how does that play into mental health, right? If all of a sudden your first job, whether that's you're playing professionally, NBA even, or overseas or in the real world, and financially you're not making what you were in college, how does that affect you? I know how it would affect me. Like, if you're looking at the best years were at 19, 20, and 21, that's kind of scary. So just trying to remind these guys that I respect it, I get it. I'm not trying to hold anybody back. I want them to be valued. I want us as a program to be able to financially put guys in a position where we show that we do value them and they get what they earn. I want that. I want to push for more of that. But you also want to teach them that it can't just always be about the bottom line sometimes. And if that's what it is, it's a scary road, because you're never going to fully be fulfilled. And it's hard at 19, 20 to fully understand that, especially with some of the figures that are thrown out there. So I hope that they get it. And this guy's across the country. This is not guys in our program. Make that clear. I hope guys across the country, get what they're owed, what they're told. But it's just it could be a harsh lesson for some guys too. And I also want to make sure that they kind of understand that with much is given, much is expected, first of all, and that secondly, it can't always be about that all the time.
Based on the players that you're talking to, not just the ones that sign with your program, what's the balance of them wanting development and academics or just cash?
I think there's a healthy balance. There is. And again, I am pretty open about that in recruiting. That could be a high school kid, could be a portal kid, could be the guys that we have in our program. During the year, end of the year meetings, that there is a balance. And again, and that won't change in life. Like, I don't care if you're in the corporate world, like, you want to be appreciated for the work that you put in. And especially if you do a good job, you want to be rewarded. And there should be part of that. But the balance is, if that's all that consumes you, then I feel like you're leaving yourself short, and that you're not going to be able to maximize everything that you potentially could on the basketball court or in the classroom or in your college experience, because you're so focused on just one thing, and that can dominate your mind, especially at 18, 19, 20, when you're not fully mature to really like put your whole head around the situation. And so it is just to try to teach them that there is a healthy balance, and all of it is good. Is how do you manage that is the next thing. And again, the main thing is the main thing. And you came here and we talked about recruiting, about getting your degree or getting your education, but then also having success individually and as a team on the court. You also don't want to lose sight of that. And you don't want to solely make decisions that don't have those two things or those three things involved in it. Be greedy and get the best of both worlds. Is there somewhere where you can have that financial security or be rewarded, but also you're not giving an opportunity of what you want individually on the court with opportunity, or what you want academically getting your degree. You look at Cam Christie. Cam could have made a ton of money going somewhere else as a freshman, but I think he understood the balance that, for him long term, the money that even to come back would be pennies to dollars compared to a second-year contract in the NBA now. And so now it's about putting yourself in position where you have an opportunity after your freshman year to get NBA workouts and be in discussion of being a first-round pick because of the situation that you were in. It wasn't about necessarily the bottom line or the dollar, because if it was, he wouldn't have been here. And so that's a great example that we can now share with guys that we're recruiting or guys in our program about. There's give and take, but it goes both ways. You don't want to sacrifice an opportunity or a position that you could have for always the bottom line. And just hope that they can take that in.
How much of an issue then, Ben, is our agents then trying to broker all these deals? I mean, you said not much surprises you, but like Elijah publicly announces in mid-April, I'm back.
Right.
And next thing you know, he's gone, right? Now it's somebody who brokered a deal for him, right?
Right. No, I think it doesn't. I mean, as weird as it is to say, it doesn't surprise you. Until you get kids here, honestly, and they're here for summer school and they're locked in. I mean, anything can happen. I do think in the world of pro sports, as you guys know, the agents play a role in terms of negotiating or being that middleman. And when college has turned the page and you're dealing financially with the dollars and you're dealing with kind of a pro model, as much as maybe we don't want to fully admit, I mean, it's pretty much a pro type model. And now agents are involved and they're allowed to be involved. Well, it's gonna come up. You're gonna deal with that. And so, again, it's accepting it. It's understanding that right now that's part of, the situation, and just being able to adapt to that. But I think in anything, there's people you enjoy dealing with and people maybe you don't. There's people with agendas and people there's not. Anytime there's big money, there's going to be people that have an agenda, and you just hope that agenda is pro player and not pro third party or somebody on the outside, because these are the guys that at the end of the day have to live with the result and the experience either way.
So, Coach, just to clear up, was Cam Christie's decision part of the plan for you guys, or was it kind of a surprise like some people thought on the outside?
No, even recruiting Cam, I told him. I thought Cam was an NBA player. I didn't know if that was going to be first year, second year, third year. Like, I made that blatantly obvious to him. And I told him straight up, like, if you have the opportunity, I'm not a coach that's going to hold any of our guys back if it's a legit deal, and his is legit. But I think you factor in so much, as the year goes on, like, I knew, okay, this could come up. I mean, you look at the guy's only 18, which the NBA loves. He's got the measurables. He got better as the year went on. You got his brother who's in the league. All that lineage, it matters. He's what the NBA looks for, the developmental type guy. Again, at 18, and you watch some of the things, the progression he made, like it doesn't surprise me that, especially with this draft, that people are looking at him going, whoa, wait a minute now. Because they know if he comes back, he's definitely, a guy that they're going to be looking at. So, no, that didn't surprise me. Again, you know, selfishly, yeah, you wish you could have him for a second year because it obviously changed our program. But you know, I think it says a lot about him, his work ethic. It says a lot about you know, our development and how we had success this year and how we were able to get him to play really well. And you know, for him to have these opportunities, it's exciting.
Before we go, could you talk a little bit about practice, what you've seen so far, especially the new guys?
Yeah, no, it's been, you know, we've only got a week under our belt. This will be our third team practice, and we've had some breakdown stuff. But honestly, a lot of it is just trying to figure out team-wise where guys are at individually, and, you know, can we do some of the stuff we did last year? Can we do some of the stuff we did our first year? You know, seeing where our skill level's at, you know, figuring out, you know, just what it's going to look like going forward for the rest of the summer. I think a lot of that is the first couple of weeks you're trying to figure out, all right, we can game plan for the second half with here's defensively what it's going to probably look like for us to be good, or here's offensive, we can scrap this, but we're going to stick with this and build on this. So, you know, again, it's kind of touch and go here early as you're figuring it out, and they're figuring each other out. You know, they're figuring out what I'm like, they're figuring out what their teammates are like. You got guys from different levels. You got guys from, you know, different coaches that have different mentalities. You know, what might be unacceptable somewhere, it might be good here. So it's kind of that back and forth. But with experience and with guys that are smart and that have a good feel, I think the process gets sped up. But I probably won't have a for sure idea till right around like week 4 in the summer, and then at that point you just try to kind of slowly build until the fall.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Fully healthy.